Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Chambers County Commissioner Court come to order. It's a regular meeting of Commissioners Court on Tuesday, the 10th day of May, 2022, 9:30 a.m. It's now 9:37 a.m. You'll all rise. Bobby Hall.
Lord, we thank you for the day. We thank you for the blessing that you've given to all of us here at Chambers County. We just ask you, Lord, now to help be with us as we make decisions for Chambers County. May your wisdom here that they will want to. Lord, we know that there's hurts in our community. We just ask you to be with those, just wherever they might be. We know that there will be several of each one of those people that need your help to guide and direct all things.
Amen. Join for the pledges. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right, citizens' comments. I don't see any on the desk here, so. All wrong. Start at 1.2. Now we got several folks in the courthouse for this one and for also Nurses Week. 1.2, discuss and consider resolution declaring May 18th through 14th, 2022 to be Hospital Week in Chambers County. Good morning, Nellie. Does she leave? Hey. Nellie, you want to read this? Do you have a copy of it? No. We'll do it. I don't have a paper copy, so. Whereas National Hospital Week is May 8th through the 14th, 2022. The official theme is We Are Healthcare. Whereas individuals all across the country will be celebrating this time-honored event. And whereas OmniPoint Health Hospital, formerly known as Bayside Community Hospital, has been in existence since 1950 to serve this community. Whereas rural community hospitals offer access to medical care in their communities in addition to life-saving emergency care, which can make the difference between life and death. Whereas the hardworking people that make up OmniPoint Health Hospital deserve universal regard and appreciation for keeping our community healthy. Whereas our local hospital is central to a healthy and optimistic community. Therefore, let it be known that on the 10th day of May, 2022, we, the Commissioners Court of Chambers County, do hereby declare May 8th through the 14th, 2022, to be Hospital Week in Chambers County, and encourages residents to express their appreciation for the people, facilities, and technologies that make trustworthy, reliable health care possible in our community.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioners Court, second by Commissioners Court, and all those said in favor.
Aye.
You want to get a picture now? You want to wait till we get the nurses and do it all together? Is Mary Beth standing there? All right, let's go to 14.1, or health and welfare, discuss and consider proclamation recognizing May 6th through 12th, 2022 as National Nurses Week in Chambers County. Good morning, Mary Beth.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning again.
Whereas National Nurses Week is celebrated each year between May 6th, National Nurses Day, and May 12th, the birthday of celebrated nurse Florence Nightingale. And whereas National Nurses Week honors the contributions and sacrifices of nurses and serves as a reminder to thank the medical professionals who keep individuals and communities healthy. And whereas nurses are extraordinary individuals who display courage, care, dedication, and commitment in caring for others. And whereas the American Nurses Association defines nursing as a protection, promotion, and optimization of health and abilities, prevention of illness and injury, alleviation of suffering through diagnosis and treatment of human response, and advocacy in the care of individuals, families, communities, and populations. And whereas nurses work to promote wellness and help prevent disease and reduce health risk at the individual and population level through evidence-based care and education. And whereas nurses serve in many critical roles, and Chambers County nurses serve individuals and families across numerous programs and services, including immunizations, communicable diseases, community health, preparedness and response, health and wellness, primary, acute, emergency, school, and long-term care, jail medical, and the women, infants, and children's programs, and much more. And whereas nurses' commitment to the global pandemic response across the nation never wavered through nursing shortages, no guarantee of their individual health and safety, and burnout. And whereas nurses' commitment to the global pandemic response across the nation, I already did that one, but it does, I should say it twice. Whereas the knowledge and skills of nurses enables them to make significant contributions to the overall health of residents in Chambers County through a unique combination of clinical nursing background with knowledge from health and social sciences. And whereas it is more important than ever to celebrate nurses across all fields for their unwavering care and dedication for their patients and communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Commissioners Court of Chambers County, the week May 6th through 12th, 2022 is proclaimed as National Nurses Week in Chambers County, Texas.
Motion by Commissioners Court and second by Same.
Yes.
And all that said yes in favor. Thank you, Mary Beth. All right, so I know there's several nurses here and I'm glad to have them here.
We have a
Why
lot.
don't we,
There's a lot throughout we invited everyone throughout Chambers County. So
Thank you.
we're representative of all the nurses in Chambers County, but we have a lot here.
thank you all for what you do. We really, really appreciate it very much. So let's go get out on the stairways and we'll come out and take a picture with you,
Okay.
since I don't think everybody fit up here.
Okay.
We'll come out in just a moment.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and do, Sheriff, you there? All right, let's go to 17.1, discuss and consider resolution recognizing May 11th through 17th, 2022 as National Police Week. You got a copy, sure?
I do. First of all, Commissioners, thank you for recognizing it. Whereas being in all people of the United States in the state of Texas and Chambers County is preserved and enhanced as a direct result of the vigilance and dedication to our law enforcement officers. And whereas we rely on law enforcement officers to keep Chambers County safe, enforce our laws, and respond in times of crisis. And whereas law enforcement officers who stand ready to serve and protect, even with their lives when necessary. And whereas 4 Chambers County peace officers have made the ultimate sacrifice. Sheriff John Leitner Frost ended his watch on Saturday, November 10th, 1900. Deputy Constable Levi E. Oliver ended end of watch Wednesday, March 5th, 1930. Deputy Sheriff Dirk Ray Canarum, end of watch Sunday, October 17th, 2004. And Deputy Sheriff Shane Thomas Detweiler, end of watch on Monday, July 13th, 2009. And whereas we come together now in honor to honor these fallen Chambers County officers who and officers across the state and our nation whose lives have been taken in the line of duty. Now, therefore, it be resolved by Commissioners Court of Chambers County, Texas, that all Chambers County residents honor the memory of Sheriff Frost, Deputy Constable Oliver, Deputy Sheriff Canarum, and Deputy Sheriff Detweiler, and express the gratitude to their families for the dedication and service. Be it further resolved that we, Chambers County Commissioners Court of Chambers County, Texas, pay tribute to these fallen officers and all officers in Chambers County and the state and of the United States, serving to protect us from evil and preserving all our freedoms, passed on this date. So on the 24th, we will be having our moment at the memorial. And so you all know that Cheryl Railsback, Shane Detweiler's mother, is very active in the national group. And so there's a big event that she flew out yesterday for DC to partake in the ceremony. She's actually one of the organizers of it. So the 24th is, I didn't want to have the ceremony at the memorial without her being present. So we're just moving it for 2 weeks. So.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Motion by Commissioners Court, second by Commissioners Court. And all those in favor?
All right.
All right, let's go, let's take 10 minutes, go out and get a picture with the nurses here. Hey, I'm gonna give each one of y'all these, you can act like you're giving it to All right, court committee order, it's recess 9:57 a.m. By the way, happy Mother's Day. Couple days late, to all you mothers out there. You're welcome. 1.1, discuss and consider approving the quote provided by Hart Intercivic and resolution to upgrade election equipment paid by a grant from the state. Danny? I was gonna say, Danny, happy Mother's Day to you.
She knew.
I'll read it as discussed during the budget workshop 20, no, go ahead, Dan, you got it?
I just have the agenda.
Okay. You got a letter in your pack from Ms. Hawthorne as discussed during the budget workshops. 21, the upgrade and conversion to our election equipment will be paid by a grant from the state. To complete the grant process, I need your approval of the quote given by Hart Intercivic, the equipment vendor, to pass on to the Secretary of State's office, and approval of the resolution that all money given to Chambers County can be audited and will be used exclusively to retrofit our current election equipment. My plan is to have the equipment delivered to Hart by mid-June so it can be converted to a paper system and returned to us by September. So there's plenty of time to train my staff and election judges and poll workers for the November 8th, 2022 general election. Thank you again for trusting my ability to move forward and comply with the new legislation. Heather Hawthorne.
Right.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tice, second by Commissioner Gore. Any questions of Danny? She has a microphone. Don't let her off that easy.
Anybody else wants to wish me happy Mother's Day?
Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Danny.
My pleasure.
1.3, discuss, consider hiring professional service to Brandon Mark Law Firm PLLC, an authority of the person agent granted by 262.024, section 4 of the Texas Government Code. George.
Yeah, Judge, so
Mark.
I think most of you know Nathan has left Orban, Bell and Tucker, okay? And so have several of the litigators that were in that firm. Ashley called and said that we have several sensitive contracts going that Nathan's working on for us. And so does Road and Bridge and a couple other departments. So Nathan has gone out on his own, put up his own shingle, and we have gotten all his information, his W-9, his insurance. And per the law allowing, we're going to bring him in as a professional service. But he also understands that probably within a year or so, as Ashley and I spoke, we will be going out for RFQ for this service also. But for now, if y'all will allow, we'll go ahead and bring him on and keep going with the projects he has.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tice, second by Commissioner Combs. Questions?
I'd assume rates would be comparable.
Yes, sir. And now that we have accepted him, he'll send us a rate sheet so we can look at. But he's already assured me that he is going to be, he's here to help. So we're his first customer, I guess the best way to put it too. So I would think yes.
George, I had a nice conversation with Nathan, and you hit the nail on the head. He's looking forward to working with us and carrying out the responsibility that we've handed to passing on to him now, even though he's got his own firm and leaving the existing one. So glad to have Nathan still with us.
All right, those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Road and Bridge 3.1. Discuss, consider Southwind section 4 and 5. Variance request for the following requirements: minimum lot width, side lot setback, and minimum back of curb to back of curb paved roadway width. Corey. Good morning.
Thank you, Judge Court. So we've been working on with South Winds for quite some time. And I will say that initially with like South Winds 1 and 2, they had an agreement with the city of Baytown, and we were under the impression at the time that city of Baytown would be taking in South Winds and it would actually be within the city limits. So we allowed basically them to match city of Baytown requirements, setbacks, all these type of situations. Since then, of course, the law has changed for being able to, for a city being able to take over an area and the requirements of such. And so we no longer believe that South Winds will be within the city of Baytown. It will be a Chambers County roads and responsibility. And so thus, with current and development, we've asked them to meet Chambers County requirements, which exceeds the city of Baytown in some areas. They've asked for this variance. We don't agree. Our regulations are based on safety. I think Ryan is here. Bobby's done a little work. I believe that we're all on the same page. I'd like to hand it over to them, but this is, some of this has to do with issues that we had in previous subdivisions with streets that are too narrow. We did some work trying to determine the minimum that would allow, free passing of vehicles, when you get some cars parked on the edge of the roadway. We really feel like that 29 feet is the minimum. The turnarounds in the cul-de-sacs goes back to fire code and requirements for being able to get a fire truck turned around safely. The side setbacks goes with, we have volunteer fire departments that would be responding in this area. And so, response time be in those situations. And I'm gonna pass it over to Bobby first, and then you want me to go ahead and get.
If we could,
Yeah.
the developer parks here,
Okay.
and he did, I spoke with him a minute ago, he did fill out a form. Judge, if he could speak.
Sure. I don't have, what'd you do with it?
I filled it out at the front counter.
Is it still out there? Okay. Go ahead. Just state your name for the record. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners, and staff. Really appreciate being here. My name is Mark Patterson. I'm a developer, part owner of South Winds.
I think you need to turn the mic on.
How's it? Okay.
Thank you.
We've been working on the South Winds project since about 2017. Just for everybody's geographic knowledge, it's basically at the corner of State Highway 146 and Kilgore Parkway, just west of. Great. Okay. I apologize. I filled out the wrong form.
You can do it afterwards. Go ahead.
Okay. We are west of the Angels corporate campus. It's a fairly new subdivision. We've got 3 of 5 sections built out. We expect to finish section 4 and 5 in the next 2 years, and then we'll be completely done. We have sold a piece of the property. Again, of the 5 sections, a piece of the property is going for a future elementary school to Goose Creek ISD. About 2015, if not before, the city of Baytown put deed restrictions on the property that would require this property and the adjacent commercial property to follow city of Baytown regulations. And just like Corey stated, with the intent that the city was going to eventually annex that property into the city limits. Those were restrictions placed on us that we had basically no negotiating room on that. So since then, when we started developing in 2017, we have followed the restrictions for the city of Baytown, but also when the county, as far as drainage and detention, we have followed county regulations. We're not far from being finished with the entire project. And to date, we've had a great working relationship, albeit we've been tossed back and forth between the city and county. Working with both agencies has been very positive to date, and we greatly appreciate Corey and his staff's work over the years. We were in several city and county joint meetings 5-6 years ago where all parties discussed what regulations we would be under. And at that time, it was agreed we would be under the city regulations. And so we've worked every day to that end. Our development side, our engineers, our surveyors, our home builders have designed plans based on those regulations. Our lender is also involved, of course, because every change in plan changes the finances. And so we're all on a wave of a good project, and we'd like to keep that going. To change now would be it'd be major upheaval in how the project is designed, not only from an engineering standpoint, but also a builder's plans standpoint. It's our understanding that when calls would go out to let's say an emergency or a fire department, they would go to Mont Bellevue, but they would also go to Baytown. And we've got a fire department about a mile away from the project. We have sufficient water, obviously water, sewer, drainage, but in particular from a fire safety standpoint, we have sufficient water from designed to mud and TCEQ state standards. We have fire hydrants placed throughout the subdivision. And so we would simply like to keep the existing plans going that we've been working on for about 6 years now. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Corey, Bobby was going.
I think Ryan,
Ryan, go ahead.
could you answer to some of that on the
Oh,
fire
sure.
safety stuff?
Sure. As the court knows, and as it's been mentioned already, it was a variance was granted some time back based on the future expectation the city would annex, and also based on the proximity to Baytown Station 6. So I want to explain the sequence of events that happens when there's a call in this area. So first of all, it's in an unincorporated area, right? So the 911 calls answered by the Chambers County Sheriff's Office, who then, once they determine what the nature of the call is, then they transfer to the city of Mont Bellevue to dispatch appropriately. If they determine that the nature of the call is a house fire, they see flames, the city of Mont Bellevue will then notify the city of Baytown, who, yes, will send the nearest fire station, which is Station 6. So yes, Baytown will respond to assist, but there are some delays built into that process. You have to transfer, then you have to transfer. So, it'll happen as fast as it can. Baytown's just not the first answering department there. They don't originally get that 911 call. So I think that's where some of the different people were understanding how it worked in different ways. So I'll go ahead and go through. As I've said in past courts, I'm not in favor of setbacks less than 10 foot. Bobby took some pictures. We'll show those. We've seen the 10-foot setbacks and greater work in years past, and we've also seen 5-foot setbacks fail in years past. But putting myself in the shoes of the developer here, I understand that everyone was under the assumption the city was going to annex. Then they proceeded in their business plan accordingly, thinking, well, these two were approved, so naturally they think they'll get to finish the project out. So I do see that point, putting myself in their shoes. My concern is that approving the variance would allow other developers to expect the same treatment in other areas. And so that's, in my mind, what has to be considered here under the circumstances. So also, I think we've discussed with engineering, I know I've heard Natalie say it, is when there's a variance, we like to see I guess you could say a give and take. So if someone submits their variance, maybe an alternative measure is presented in that variance or something of that nature, not just merely a variance from the regulations. So I've turned it over to Bobby unless there's any questions for me.
Yes, and I'd just like to also, I guess, second what's been said as far as the relationship goes, and some of those meetings that were ongoing early. I was even involved in those meetings with the intent that, and that they would follow City of Baytown regulations early. In addition, South Winds has been a great partner. They're doing some landscaping and keeping up the Kilgore Parkway area. I think, certainly they're a great, partner out there and have done a great job But like I said, this just comes down to a change of, what the future holds. We don't anticipate it to be the city of Baytown any longer. And so just a little, there is concern about the safety of the subdivision and those houses and how they would be affected. So anyway, I'll hand it over to Bobby. I think he's taken some pictures and done some additional research.
I went out a couple of days and I've got, there's a PowerPoint. I don't know who shows that, where it is, but and I rode the streets and you'll see, not only that, I think that in some of these pictures, you'll see, I think of what we're doing for the citizens' quality of life too. A 5-foot setback, as you see in some of these pictures, if we can see them. You can see them, I don't know.
Kyle's getting there.
You turned the wrong one.
My turn was your one. I figured you all had it right there in your.
No, we don't.
You don't?
No.
And I'll turn with you.
Can you get it started, Kyle?
It works.
Come on, Kyle, hurry. Ryan,
He is a Thibodeau, he may have trouble.
Ryan, show him how to hit. He's hitting the wrong button to show that thing larger.
Which one you want? I guess just start it.
You start the program, the
You can do it.
PowerPoint. Yeah, sure.
You can. That's quicker. Well, yeah, you get to that one right there. I can't read this. Yep. There you go.
You just use the arrows to go through and copy wood. That's fine. All right, there's a 5-foot setback. You see a 2-story house on the right there and a 1-story on the left. Those also, gentlemen, now you're talking about 10 feet between them. I'm 6 feet tall. If I stretch my hands out, I've got 2 feet either side. You've got 4 foot to 2 foot overhangs. So the house on the right catches fire. Its debris goes on top of the one on the left. Also, if I think quality of life too is part of it. You'll see some other pictures where there's a little better, there's better spacing and I think a better quality of life. If you have an air conditioner in that down that side of that house on the right, you can't push a wheelbarrow past it because of the fence. So next slide, please. All right, there's another one, shows a 2-story and a 1-story. Go ahead. All right, there, that's a construction fence between the two. You can see kind of the spacing in there. 2-story on the left, 1-story on the right. Go ahead. All right, I went around through the neighborhood and this is, Corey, what are those, 20? No, that's still South. Is that 28 or 20?
It's 28, I believe.
28. Now you see the car on the right, it has spinners on it. The pickup on the left is not up against the curb. There's a black pickup that's stuck out in the middle of the street. I had to pull my mirrors in to pass between those two vehicles in there. So a box truck on our ambulances would not have gone there. Fire truck, I measured the fire trucks here in Anahuac. They're 10.5 feet between mirrors, outside the mirrors, plus some. And so they wouldn't have gone. So that's strictly that is south winds right there. Go ahead. This is Cypress Point subdivision, which is up here by the golf court. Now, these streets, they have what they call layback or roll, I call them rollback, layback curbs. You can see the truck there is parked up on the curb, has a better, and these are 29s, aren't they, Corey? They're 29 foot. 29 foot back to back. Keep going. There's a spacing between two of the houses. That's a 20-foot space. Now, they were allowed to do 5 and 15, but they still had to have 20 feet between them. So you can see the guys, even guys able to park his boat in there, his air conditioners there and everything. Next one, please. And then there's another one showing the same thing. I think that's a 5 and the 15 there. Go ahead. And then there's some with 20 foot in between them. So that's what we're looking at. It's not only the safety, but I think, in my opinion, quality of life, and I'm not sure about the cost of housing. And I think the ones in Cypress Point run anywhere from 250 to 300 and some odd thousand. I'm not sure what south winds are, but that's what we're facing, gentlemen. That's why I think we as engineering and also the fire marshal are in favor of the 20-foot spacing. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Ryan, you flip a button. Please. Thanks.
Adding to quality of life, what's the quality of life for one is not necessarily for the other. Bobby, the pictures you took, I agree, the rollback curves are much, much better. I wish we do that everywhere. But, you had a construction going on and you had two construction trucks parked way off the curbs. So, I mean, it's not really representative from that standpoint. Plus, you didn't take pictures. I mean, there's a rec center coming in South Winds. It's the first master plan subdivision that the county's ever had. So, I agree. I think South Wind's been a great partner. And I'd like to see us go back and sit down with them and see if we can't come up with something that'll work for everybody.
I agree.
So you want to table this?
I do.
Why don't we change our subdivision regulations to make the rollback curves?
We talked about that and anyhow, chose not to
That's
do
a
it.
different conversation, but but yeah, I agree that she can pull up on it instead of parking the road. All right, we're gonna table 3.1. You're gonna work with
Yep.
engineering and
I sure will.
South Winds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you. All right, economic development tourism, 5.1, discuss, consider approving work authorization for public management, protection department, housing, and community affairs, community resilience program. I hadn't seen Sam, but this is what we approved back in November. The court approved the contract, public management. So this is going forward with that.
Yeah, she's under the weather a little bit, so I
This-
spoke with her this morning, yeah.
My notes is recommend approval. So.
Second,
Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Hammond. Questions?
so just, yeah,
Go
just a note, so public management kind of gave us a little price break on this, so this is about 12% of cost of project, so market standards about 14%, so public management has been working with us. So,
Yeah.
of course, we're repeat customers, so
Yeah, and they do a good job.
yeah, they do a very good job, so.
All right. So in favor,
Aye.
opposed, motion carries. 5.2. Discuss and consider Houston Transloading Partners One LLC tax abatement application center recommendations. Good morning, BJ.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Hey, Kyle.
This is an application or request that was presented and accepted to the court back in March. Houston Transloading Partners presented their request for consideration for tax abatement based upon the characteristics that are cited in their cover letter. Since that time, coming back, given that the application was accepted, what is being presented for you today is consideration for approval of the application with some recommendations based upon criteria that the court has made decisions on for projects with similar profile. Just to reiterate, Houston Transloading Partners One LLC is an LLC that's developed by NFI Transportation, as noted in the recommendation letter from the foundation. NFI is one of the premier third-party logistics providers in the country, longstanding, founded in 1932, and one of the largest 3PLs in North America. Since the application was presented in March, we can now share who their primary client is going to be. It's going to be Target. And so Target is in the market, joining Home Depot, Walmart, IKEA, Floor & Decor, and others in the Cedarport Industrial Park. So the project profile, as noted in the recommendation cover letter, the applicant, this LLC, is one of the largest family-owned 3PL providers in the nation. They intend to build a Class A industrial transload facility based on 40 acres. However, coincident with that, they're currently leasing the Exeter building as the first phase of their project, and they're going to move forward with occupying that 330,000 square foot facility and start their operations so that in parallel in building a facility in Cedarport. As I mentioned, the premier client is entering the region. Target is coming into the area. The facility under consideration is 108,000 square feet. They anticipate conservatively creation of 300 to 500 jobs, at both facilities. So the facility that is currently constructed and is going to be occupied here shortly will be joined with 180,000 square feet. So in combination, they're going to have almost 500,000 square feet of operations in the industrial park. As has been the case recently, we've been providing economic impact analyses to show what the impact of having these 450 jobs in the Chambers County economy and the impact, both direct, indirect, and induced, that's noted in the cover letter that's provided. The direct wages or compensation is very consistent with that of other projects that the court has incentivized. It's about $25 million for the 450 jobs. It's about equals to about $53,000 per job with respect to wages and benefits. So the recommendation that is presented for the court today is to accept and approve the application based upon these elements and consider a 10-year tax abatement. This recommendation is presented within the context of consistency. The court has accepted and approved and entered into agreements with similar projects, not only in Cedar Report, but in Maryport and otherwise. And the model that's provided for your consideration illustrates a 50% tax abatement over 10 years. Just to be aware that these are new dollars coming into the economy, as well as new jobs in the economy. And I think that at least the expressions that were made during the last court with respect to the economic impact of these jobs in an economy, both to the court and the public here recently in the public forum, are very important for spurring economic development in court. So the recommendation and the application is presented for court for consideration for approval.
BJ, I don't see the inventory rate in here.
Yes, a good question. It's a TBD as it stands right now. Didn't want to make any estimates as we move forward into developing the agreement. We'll have more information about what the inventory turn is going to be, and didn't want to speculate on that, but I think it's going to be consistent with other operators who operate retail related inventories. And so they're going to
Like the ones you mentioned already.
That's correct. They're going to have to stipulate to some minimum inventory expectation as part of the agreement.
And when will we actually determine that?
As if in fact the court approves the request for abatement, we would come back to the next court for request to establish a reinvestment zone for this project. And at that time, we should have sufficient information to present that.
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Questions, other questions?
Question.
Go ahead.
So BJ, it says in there, the land seller is investing several $1 million in site work. Of course, I know it's James and his group. So what's the offsite improvements? What does that entail?
I can't speak to specificity. Maybe John can speak to.
John
that.
answered it, maybe.
Come on up, John. And state your name for the record, please.
John Klein, TGS Cedar Port, CCID 1.
Thank you.
The offsite improvements include the detention, so the site's not a detention, water, sewer, all utilities to the site.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, BJ,
Yes.
one other thing I've been noticing on all of these, the land values for the estimated on the appraisals is staying consistent, but yet they're way below what market value will be after they're developed. So we might start looking at how those are estimated.
Yes, and that's something I think that the appraisal district is making a correction. You're now looking at what the actual appraised market values are. Because for a long time, they've been skewed to the low side. And so the estimates that are in the applications are based upon an estimate, particularly in a large park like this where you don't have a, maybe it's a carve out of 50 or 60
I
acres.
understand.
So it's prorated value.
Right, I got a motion second. Any other questions? Those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5.3. Discuss and consider SBR Cedar Port 2 owner LP tax abatement application. BJ.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. SBR Cedar Port 2 owner LP is submitting its application for tax abatement. This is an entity that has already conducted and completed a project in the county. They were the developers for the Plastic Express facility that's coming online in the Cedar Port. This is essentially a phase 2 of that project. Their intent is to build an 800,000 square foot warehousing facility with office space and trucking simply mirroring what Plastic Express is bringing online and commissioning as we speak in Cedar Port. Construction is expected to take approximately 10 months, and the job creation profile very similar to phase one, if you will, of the Plastic Express operation. Their intent is to ramp up to more than 100 full-time jobs. And the total cost of the project that's noted in the application and the cover letter is approximately $7 million. The Plastic Express agreement that's currently in place did not include a stipulation with respect to minimum inventory levels. However, it was a question that the court asked and we provided information for. So we have a proxy, if you will, for embodying what that would be as part of the agreement going forward. So the consideration right now is that the court accept this application, and then we will come back with recommendations at the next court based upon more specificity related to inventory turn and wages and the like. Very similar to what the court just approved for the NFI project.
How today we're just accepting, we're not
Accepting the application.
moving for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Hammond. Questions? Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, BJ.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Thank you, BJ.
All right, 6.1, discuss, consider park use agreement submitted by Lone Star Guardians to hold the Lone Star Guardians No Fences Barbecue Cook-Off at West Park, May 27th, 28th, 2022. Looks like everything's in order. I don't see anybody here with them. Commissioner Gore. Second by Commissioner Tice. Any questions? Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. 9.1, discuss consider penalties, fees, or interest for the lien placed on LT 34 and 35 Welton J. Williams subdivision, Welton Road, Baytown, Texas, 77523. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Nice to see you
Morning,
guys
morning.
without having to ask you for any abatements this morning.
Thank you.
So this lien was recorded back in, let me look at my paper. I had already seen it. It was in 2018. It is for a property that faces both Welton and Williams Road, I believe. It's located in Cove. We had contracted out a company to go in to clear the property. This was done because there had been a complaint received for this property and owners never took care of the overgrown vegetation. So came in, tore down. I believe there's also a house on the property or some type of structure. I was not the inspector at that time, so I'm not aware 100% of the details involved with the case. But we do have a citizen that is willing to pay off this lien because they are interested in purchasing the property. So they just want to know if the amount that is laid out on the lien, which is the 38,000 and some change, will be the full amount, or if there is any interest or additional fees that will be incurred on this lien. And we just need to know so that we can provide this information to the citizen and they can make a decision from that. Oh, and also to note, typically in the past when we have brought these type of items up to court, there have never been any fees or interest charged in the past.
Yeah, I think our appetite was to get it back on the tax roll, tax paying customers. So I'm okay with being no fees, but then it's paid $38,672.44.
Yes.
That's your motion, Judge?
Motion by Commissioner Tice. Second
I'll second.
by Commissioner Combs. Any questions, Victoria?
No, sir.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria.
Good morning.
10.1, discuss consider presentation of the 2021 Excellence in Safety Award presented by Texas Association of Counties. Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks to you and to all of the employees that you have so graciously supported. The Texas Association of Counties awarded Chambers County with the 2021 Excellence in Safety Award at its recent conference, Risk Management Program Conference. And Chambers County was one of only 12 counties in the entire state to receive this award. It was for excellence in involvement and commitment to safety in the workplace and for controlling workers' compensation claims with a loss ratio of 60% or less. So we had to have a safety program, an accident prevention plan, active safety policies, an active safety committee, and core training topics. So you did all of that, and I thank you for your continuing commitment to your employees. It shows. Here's your award.
Oh, that's your award. Bring it up. You department heads, go down there with her. Y'all the ones that make sure your picture's safe. So, come on, Bobby, Mike,
Ryan.
Brian.
Judge, I only got so much film in my camera. I'm not sure I can take all these pictures today. Yeah, 12. What are you talking about, 24?
Come on, Mike, get out of here.
This is loss management too, so. Mr.
Mike,
Herrera
Bobby, and
had a lot
Mike,
to
come
do
on.
with this.
Hey, guys,
Come on, let's go.
Danny, come on.
Sounded like an order. So. Come on, George, you're preventing paper
I was
cuts.
gonna say, risk management, Mr. Herrera, you're in this.
Come on, George. We need you.
No paper cuts for.
Danny, get up here.
Let me be on this side.
I do.
You can represent office safety. Come on.
Blocking up. No, you're good. Got a glare.
I am standing up, by the way. No slouching, sir.
Danny, come on the other
Bad
side.
posture. Leads to back problems.
All right, where we start, ladies first.
Still raining.
Here we go. I'm gonna take.
Don't get in there like you like each other. Like it's
George.
Here goes mine.
Well, COVID's over with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Look at say,
I only stuck in for so long.
I'm smiling.
I'm smiling.
All right, that's for last over here.
Thank you.
thank you, congratulations.
Good job. Good job, Wendy.
Y'all keep that award in safety office. All right, I'd entertain a motion to accept the safety
So
award,
moved.
motion by Commissioner Court, second by Commissioner Court, and those in favor. All right, health and, did we vote on 14 more?
Yes, yeah, we did.
Oh, that was the commissioner.
That's all in all,
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
16-1.
16, oh, that's what I did. I put it in the wrong. Right. Discuss and consider signing resolution to move forward with Texas Historic Courthouse Preservation Program through the Texas Historical Commission. Valerie, good morning. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
We're back again. We were here a couple of courts ago to talk about the courthouse restoration grant. And since then, I've had a chance to talk to Commissioner Hammond and Gore a little bit about it. Not sure if they want to say anything now, but the next step is to sign a resolution of support and apply for the planning grant.
So you're recommending that we go ahead and go forward with this.
I do.
I
know there was talk about judicial offices in the building, and the fact that the clerk's office is staying is a big plus for us. If Commissioner's Court stays, that's even better, but
Yeah, now, the plan is, at least right now, for Commissioner's Court to be upstairs.
it's guaranteed money. It's just starting the process. of-
So what is this first step?
Friday, the application is due. And then that's the planning application. You'll find out a decision from that at the end of July. And then you find out how much you get. And you have 2 years to complete the planning part of it.
So what's the cost on the first step?
I think he had said Jay's I think he zoomed in somewhere, but it was around 8.3 is what they originally said for the planning costs. And you can get up to 6 million for the grant funds
It's gonna cost us about 2 extra million.
as of right now. Of course,
But right now, just to go through the planning process, the cost is.
Well-
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? All right, did you understand my question?
I'm sorry, I guess I didn't hear you.
Okay, so to do, for this first step, what's it gonna cost the county?
For the first step, if you get a planning grant, well, I don't have your application open in front of me, which I should, but I believe the cost to the county, well, I'm gonna have to look. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Valerie, what's his name for the record? Who's it with?
Jay Fiershing.
I'm Jay Fershing with Architects.
How do you spell the last name?
FIRSCHING.
Thank you.
If you get a planning grant, right now I show the county share being $320,279 with a grant award with a grant request of $693,870.
And that would be due, when will we know if we got the grant, when the money be due? I mean, will we have time to budget for next year?
The grants are reimbursable monthly or based on whatever billing cycle you agree to. So if we send you a bill 1 month and you pay it, then you submit that to the Historical Commission and they will within usually about a week reimburse you for their share of that invoice. So you don't have to have all of the money on hand. You just have to be able to pay your bill.
So is that, you said those numbers, is that like a 50% grant?
Yeah, it's for a planning grant, the match is 70-30. 70 for the Historical Commission, 30 for the county.
Thank you.
And the planning grant was how many million?
No, the planning grant is 600 and something thousand or what?
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
The
Actually-
grand total was 6 million.
Billy, I heard what you did. Yeah.
So we'd have to go in and I know we got historical hotel motel tax money, but we don't have anything budgeted. So what's the time? How long before we know we got the grant? And then when do we start making payments?
Okay, there's a public meeting that we'll go to in June related to the grant, and then they'll make their decision at the end of July. After that, you'll enter into in a period where you're doing the contracts with Historical Commission, signing everything up, and your first bill from us would come, I would assume, probably around November or December, something like that. It could be that if you need to wait until, the beginning of next year, that could also happen.
I was going to ask you, what is the timing on these grants? Can you apply anytime or is it annually or?
It's every 2 years. They get funded every 2 years. And so they do a grant cycle. So everybody has to apply at the same time. And it's usually about this time of year.
So is there a good chance of us getting funded? You feel like?
Yes, I think so. I mean, early on in the program, they were giving, higher scores to older buildings, but a lot of those have been done. So you've risen to the top So I think you have a decent chance.
And Judge, just to remind the court, October 1st, we would have the new budget. We could issue a 2023 PO, but no funds could be allotted until January 1.
I don't think that would be a problem.
All right, Aaron, you seen the issue?
And,
What do you think we
yeah.
make it work?
We also have option to decline if we like.
To decline the
Yeah, so
grant?
the grant could be less than 6 million.
So we do have money to cover. Thank you.
My issue with it is doing something that's not budgeted, you know, we can, like George said, just make sure we don't commit any funds to it until January 1 when it's budgeted.
So, but Tommy said, once it comes back and we're awarded a grant, we have the ability to deny it. It's out there. Correct?
If there's time that it'll take to do all of the contracts and everything with the historical commission. And if you just simply ask them to start at the beginning of 2023, they'll let you do that. If that's what works for you.
This grant will not tell us how much we receive for construction. This grant will only tell us what we're getting for labor, right?
Right, because they'll want to help you get your plans and specs done first, so then you're shovel ready to apply for a grant the next time. But the maximum amount you can get is 6 million from the program. And, you know, how much you get kind of depends on how many people have applied. Sometimes they'll knock a couple 100,000 off of your grant so they can give that to another county to get them going. So, but you're up to 6 million is what you're eligible for. I
mean, I'd love to see this building go back to its old glory, you know, take the lower ceilings out, and the courtrooms, and it could be really something really proud of.
I would too. It's just the timing with it, with the other judicial center we got to do is just.
Well, I think it is good timing, because if we can move out here to the new judicial center, then they can do the renovation here. That's one of the things I never wanted to do, was do it and have to move everybody out while they're doing it, and then everybody back in 2 years later.
That's a good point.
So I kind of think, I
Yeah,
think the
totally
time is
vacate the
good.
building. Yeah.
We can get the planning grant. We don't have to commit any money to it anywhere next year. We could budget that to.
Yeah, if we could just do it, you know, during our budgeting season, budgeted money for it.
Yeah. I understand motion.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Motion by. I know, I'm looking for a motion by Commissioner Tice, second by Commissioner Hammond. Any other questions, comments? Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you,
very
Jack.
much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Valerie.
All right, down to consent. I think we got everything else. Precinct 1. Two,
I'm good, Judge.
3,
Good.
4.
I want to.
Oh, come on, man. That's gotta be one.
I want to take payroll changes back to executive session.
Okay.
I can live with that, Bill.
Was that all you had though? I entertain a motion to approve them all except payroll.
So moved.
Take.
Motion by Commissioner Tice, third by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Gore. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, it's 10:45 a.m. We'll go back to executive session. Discuss, consider personnel issues, and discuss, consider sale purchase of real property. Yes, when we talk, I'll talk to him now. Approve payroll changes.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know, there might be some on real estate.
I don't think you can approve today.
Morning here.
We got one.
Well, I mean, we could approve the purchase of real estate, but we won't say what it is and how much it is.
Or the sale.
Come on, you're not gonna come?
No, you'll go buy it.
Or the sale.
All right, court come to order after executive sessions, 11:53 a.m. Let's take payroll changes first. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Hammond. Any questions?
I would like to make a
Go
comment
ahead.
that, for future payroll increases, that we ask the people applying for employee raises in their department to be more descriptive exactly what they're doing.
Agree with that.
I agree also. And we've instructed HR. in favor of that. All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now under executive session. Discuss, consider discuss, and consider the sale, purchase, real property. I'll entertain a motion on parcel G for the Justice Center.
Make a motion, Judge, that we approve the purchase price of portion G.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Tice, to approve purchase of parcel G for the Justice Center. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the sale of Victoria Walker Park.
I move that we approve the purchase offer to sell Victoria Walker Park.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Hammond. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I think we are all done.
I think that's it.
All right, so nothing further come before the court, 11:55 a.m. We finished before noon. We're done.
Hey there.